Welcome. Thanks for joining Enphase with Smart Energy Answers this evening. Welcome to the webinar. So we've got some really great conversations to have with you this evening. So I really appreciate you, everyone, joining in and signing up for tonight's webinar. Now, just before we get into the full swing of things, I wanted to just quickly go through the setup of the webinar itself. So you might notice on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a small chat box, a panel there. Just feel free to use that panel to write in any questions that you've got throughout the webinar. We're happy to answer those throughout this evening's session. You know, there's no harm in asking any questions that you have, because we'll be happy to answer those. It's a good opportunity to ask questions, and we always enjoy sharing those answers to everyone that join in on webinars. So please use that chat box. But aside from that, you'll see us on the screen, and we're going to be sharing a lot of insights this evening. So again, thanks for joining and welcome aboard. So my name's Duncan McGregor. I'm with Enphase Energy. I'm the technical trainer and field engineering, and I'm based out of Melbourne. And I've flown up to Sydney today to take the opportunity to join Daniel with Smart Energy Answers. So I just want to say welcome this evening.
Thank you, Duncan. Thanks for coming to see us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and it's great to be here, and I look forward to sharing a bit of history and knowledge from you about Smart Energy Answers. Now we're going to have a bit of a chat together, and also you'll see that we've got another friendly face here. So Francesco is a system owner, which is really neat. We're going to have some Q&A around his experiences with solar. So thanks for joining, Francesco.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. So it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, and we look forward to having a nice discussion this evening. So I think probably a good way to start this evening, Daniel, is to talk a bit about Smart Energy Answers and just really how you came to be. So tell me a bit about your background and history with the business.
Thanks, Duncan. Thanks for everyone joining in tonight. Look, Smart Energy Answers is a business that started in 2017, and over time, we have evolved as a holistic solar company. We have 4 different divisions: residential, commercial, service, and project developments. And tonight, we'll talk about the residential division. That's what most people are connected for. Look, we do specialize in, it's all in our name, it's Smart Energy Solutions. What I mean by that is, there is so many different types of technologies in solar, and we have a unique approach that's driven by innovation and by the belief that the latest technology and the safest technology in the market are going to be ultimately the best investments for customers. Okay, so that's our unique approach and point of difference. And our head office is here in Castle Hill, New South Wales. We operate nationally across 4 different states: Victoria, South Australia, and ACT. And nowadays we have 46 employees across Australia, and we also have 17 teams of installation partners. One of our unique points of difference is the fact that we combine the consultation side of things with the installation. So we're not just a retailer that sells solutions to customers. We have teams of electricians, installers, laborers that physically install the solutions that we put forward to customers. And as we know, and we'll find out a little bit later, solar is a complex electrical installation that requires a lot of care and skilled labor force to execute a good installation.
Yeah, so you've really got it well covered in terms of supporting your customers with really in-house teams that can work directly with the homeowner to get really good solutions, right?
Absolutely. It's very difficult these days to deliver what you promise to customers, especially when there is disconnection from sales to installations. And one of our strongest points is the fact that we have a very strong synergy between sales and installations, and we deliver what we call an end-to-end solution, hassle-free to consumers. So from the first point of contact to installation and ongoing support, there would be someone as Man Energy Answers to be able to answer customers' questions and make sure that they have a delightful experience.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess because you've got that knowledge in-house, you've really got that continuity for the customer to get the outcome that they're looking for, which is great for consistency. Yeah, so it's interesting because you're Smart Energy Answers. You use a product like Enphase, and of course we should probably talk a little bit about Enphase too, and what that means for you as a business. So do you want to maybe describe to me what Enphase means to you and how what that delivers for your customers?
Absolutely, Duncan. Smart Energy Answers' vision is to accelerate transition to 100% renewables by adopting cutting-edge technologies. And Enphase certainly represents one of the most innovative brands in the industry, and represents what we call smart solar. So as Smart Energy Answers, we focus in 3 key areas for customers: smart solar, smart batteries, and smart home solutions. And for smart solar, what we refer to is a typical solar panel, like the ones that you see up on the wall there, combined with an electronic component at the back of each panel that is a microinverter like Enphase, or can be an optimizer. Okay, and today we have actually here an Enphase microinverter. So each panel that Smart Energy Answers installed, it has a component like this. This is the Enphase IQ7A. And what this does is makes each panel work independently. So the main difference is traditional systems are configuring string with the traditional string inverters. And if there is an issue with one of the panels in the string, then the overall performances of the system is affected. And with MLP, module level power electronics, like Enphase microinverters, you actually have an individual control on the panel, and you have also enhanced safety, which is key these days. We're hearing about a lot of problems with the floods and the fires, and a lot of issues with installations that were installed not so long ago. So smart solar with Enphase, that's something that Smart Energy Answers really believe on going forward. And we don't offer any more string systems in our range of products.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely, because in some states, like in the US, it's already compulsory. Safety is a big concern worldwide, and with the Enphase rapid shutdown and individual control, that's actually the safest system you can find in the market, with AC conversion rather than DC on the roof. That's very, very important. And even in some countries in Asia Pacific, it's become compulsory now. And there is some initiatives in Australia to make MLP compulsory as well. So we might as well see this as something happening very soon in Australia as well.
Yeah, I think probably the future's here with these new technologies, and MLP is a game changer, and we hear that being used for those safer outcomes, like you're saying. I think one of the interesting things about the microinverter that you're showing there, the Enphase product, it's not only about safety, right? It has a range of benefits and outcomes for consumers. So, I mean, for you as a business using and installing these products, what does it help you do in terms of supporting your customers?
Absolutely, because safety is one of the key elements, but there is a variety of benefits that go to our installation designing team. So one of the biggest benefits is the flexibility in the designs. So especially for tight roofs where there is small space available, Enphase allows flexibility with multiple orientations, where with traditional inverters you can go up to 2 orientations, so in some cases only 1. And also the fact that in situations where there is partial shade or heavy vegetation with trees and a lot of shade, Enphase allows much better performances, up to 30% over the year. And for us, in terms of support and ongoing maintenance of the system. That allows a quick health checkup every time that we need to perform a check on the system. We can easily see each panel, how they're performing, how they've been performing over time, and see that in most cases, our predictions are actually lower than what happens in the real world. So Enphase microinverters overperform compared to our forecast on productions many times.
Oh, that's amazing. And I guess the great thing for your customers, because you've got full visibility into every system you do, you can share those stories to your customers and to future customers, and you can be very confident in knowing that the performance of the system, you've got the proof, you've got the evidence, because you've got all of the data there.
Absolutely, and this is key for long-term sustainability of the business, especially in this industry, Duncan, where we see there is a lot of government rebates granted and very low barriers at the entrance. We see every year dozens of solar business folding, and having that sort of data available to prove what works and what not is fundamental to make business decisions and in order to achieve long-term partnership like the one that we have with Enphase. We see that customers really appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons why we also have been named #1 solar installer in Australia on product review for 3 years in a row. That's a proof of commitment that we have to customers, and we couldn't achieve that without our team and our partners with great brands.
Yeah, it's amazing, and probably not an easy achievement to receive in Australia. Very competitive marketplace, and you must work very hard to get there.
Absolutely, it's the fact that that's been 3 years in a row. It really shows that we have the consistency that's key in this industry. Consistently deliver a good quality solution, not just for the short term, but for the long term for our customers.
Now we talked a bit about Enphase and the benefits that it provides to your customers. I think it'd be really interesting to hear a little bit more from you about the idea of smart energy and where you think smart energy is really going. Like, do you see that in the future we're going to see big changes in the solar industry and the kinds of products you sell and the benefits to the customer?
Yeah, look, Declan, what we're seeing is we're seeing the electrification of the household. That's what's happening. With petrol gas prices going up, electricity prices rising more than 55% over the last 5 years, and the advent of electric vehicles, the household is transforming in something very, very valuable to the individuals. Any person who's got a good roof to install solar panels on, that's gold. That's an invaluable asset to have. But at the same time, what I was saying before, smart solar is only one piece of the puzzle. At Managed Genesis, we specialize in really tailor solutions based on customers' individual needs. And we have a lot of customers these days that are trying to get 100% independent from the grid, want to be self-sufficient. They want to screw the unnecessary evil, these greedy electricity companies that for years we've been dependent from. And today we have technologies available to make this happen. And the return on investment has come down a lot, and it makes sense. So nowadays, combining a solar system with a smart battery and with smart home devices such as a smart pool heating, for example, that integrates with solar, or a heat pump, or an EV charger that powers your electric car with solar energy, all fully automated. That's something very, very valuable that goes beyond the savings that those devices and these systems can actually give to customers. What we see these days is having a home that's self-sufficient and having what we call a complete electrical upgrade to household really is a capital improvement and improve the value of the home, which makes the ROI on savings completely relevant when you look at the different perspective from a homeowner and from an asset that you have upgraded. Yeah, so that's very, very important these days to really understand when customers come to us. They might come to us because they've seen an advertise of a cheap solar system online, what we call the solar traps. But that's our job to educate people and really trying to understand from the electricity bills and the plans how we can best assist them with all the range of technologies that we have available, not just chucking some panels on the roof at the cheapest possible price. That's not what we do as Smart Energy Answers.
Yeah, well, that's such an interesting answer, and I think it's probably a really good segue to introduce our special guest sitting next to you, Francesco. So thanks for joining us this evening, Francesco.
Thank you very much.
And I've just met Francesco this evening, and I believe that Francesco is actually a former customer or a current customer of Smart Energy.
I'm a customer. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so tell me a bit about why you've been invited in here this evening.
Well, actually, it's because I'm a customer, so that I relied on Smart Energy Answer for installing my solar panel in my place. And actually, it was very insightful, this discussion, because it made me thinking about everything, how it started. That when I decided to go for solar panels, for solar energy, my knowledge about solar energy or solar panels per se was not very high. So I don't know what is the average customer knowledge on that. So I had to search on my own and do my investigation on internet, on Google, and try to understand what it means. And I would say that I got quite lost. I also got some of those people you were referring, some people that try to sell you something that is cheap, but I could understand that they were really there only to sell me something. They couldn't really answer my question. They couldn't really. I'm someone that I like to have full knowledge of what I'm doing. So I really wanted to have a full knowledge before making my decision, even whether to do solar to have the solar panel or not. And then finally, what I ended up with was a website that was providing me basically as a service, 3 top companies in Australia that could provide me the best solution. And I said, okay, that sounds interesting. And fortunately, one of the 3 companies was Smart Energy Answers, and is the one that I chose. And I can tell you the reason why I went with these companies, because I was impressed by the service overall, and the fact that immediately once I got the contact from them, because this website works in a way that basically they provide information to the company then contact you directly. I was contacted by this consultant who came to my place and clearly explained me what it means, what is an inverter, what is what is a solar system, how the panel works, in a very nice way, without trying to sell me a product, but really tell me all the positive and negative side of it. Especially because in my place, I think you mentioned this during your talk, Daniel, that in my place basically I have an issue in which there is a large tree that creates some shade on my roof a specific time of the day. And that was one of the reasons for me whether I really have to go for a solar system or not. And then the person explained me very well what it means, what is the positive and negative side, and the exact product with the Enphase and a specific solar panel that could solve it. So explained exactly that, if there is a shade, it goes just one panel and the panel gets deactivated, but all the other works. That was my understanding, right? Without going to technicality. And then everything started from there. I was really glad and was interested. The person was very engaged with me, and we had multiple other also follow-up calls. And finally, it was easy to decide, and I went, got an offer, accepted. In really few weeks, I got my solar system,
Fantastic.
everything in motion, and
It's a great story.
Yeah,
actually.
that's the story.
Yeah, you don't hear those kinds of stories every day.
Right? That's the honest story.
It's a lovely story.
Yeah, that's the honest story.
Yeah. And because it is so many hurdles to jump through, and as an end consumer, there's so much technology, and there's so many different products, so many different companies.
Yeah,
it can be very become very insecure about the right decision to make. Yeah, so it's a really interesting journey you've been on. I think there's some really good sort of takeaways from that about, it's all about doing your research, right?
Yeah.
And also about just and once you find the right people, learning from them and getting information out of them and asking questions. So no harm in asking a lot of questions when it comes to solar. And,
I'm someone who's good in asking questions, so poor the consulting was in front of me. But, yeah,
you're a university professor.
Exactly. As a professor, I like to ask questions. Exactly.
And a lot of us folk who work in the solar industry are often quite disconnected from homeowners because we're so caught up in the technology, we forget that nobody's heard of these terms that we share.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice story that you share, and it's great. It's a great outcome for you. So I'd love to ask a bit more about your experience. You've had a good install. It sounds like that went really well.
Yeah.
And you talked about you had a bit of shading on your roof.
Yeah.
It was impacting the array.
Yeah.
So you made that really good choice about using, microinverters for that solution. And that way you're getting the outcome that you need for your home. I guess the proof's in the pudding, though. So I'd love to know more about the performance of the system. And have you actually measured any of that or understood, what the difference has been before you put the system into, today and how that's gone over that last 12 months?
I have to say that before coming here to this interview, I just went back to my energy provider and tried to check how much I've been spending the same time period last year, how much I've been spending this time period. And it was clearly indicated there. I already knew, but it was nice to see it, that for the same time period of last year, I was spending something like around between $600 and $650 every
per quarter.
Per quarter, exactly. And the last 2 quarters, I paid the first time $85 and the second time something like $130. And it's like it's quite amazing per se. And that is interesting because then you start to learn even more, and you see that with the company, with the energy provider, I'm also able to make a deal so that if I usually produce more energy than I consume, especially during the day, right? So the company provides me, give me money back, buys my energy basically, right? And this also helps to reduce the bill further. And I also made, because that was one important point for me, what is the return on investment? So how long do I need in order to pay back?
What number were you given before you did the maths? Did you provide a return on investment figure for solar?
We do. Our consultants go into the very fine details. If the customer wants to know the fine details, we try to
I want to know
make it simple as much as we can. But we can answer all the technical questions.
What sort of ballpark do you expect for an ROI?
It's exactly 3 years and a half. Probably it will be the return on investment, which is pretty good in my view. I would say that. So which sounds amazing, So from one side you save a lot of money. Yes, exactly. Which is something I was primarily interested to go to the solar seats, to solar panels, but also of course yes, the other sides of that you save, you make a benefits to the environment, right?
Absolutely.
And so I also have an app in which I can also see how many trees can be built through the energy that has been saving, which makes you feel also good from that side. And about this app, maybe one thing I want to add is one thing that I'm very glad that I got from Smart Energy Answer from the consultant was to also have, together with Enphase, I don't remember exactly the terminology.
Consumption monitor.
The consumption monitor, exactly, which from my side is not a consumption monitor, whatever. It's just an app, I have in my phone, and I can see directly how much energy is producing second by second, even not minutes by minute, second by second. My solar panels, and how much energy I'm also spending. And that's the best way. It's an advice I always give to friends, because it's the best way to really by yourself understand how to save energy. How much energy do I spend if I turn on the dishwasher, or when should I do it? So actually it's a good way for me internally in order to monitor what are my costs, and then of course you learn. You do it maybe for the first month, then you learn, you already know, and then you go with the flow. So yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah, it's a wonderful example, because obviously you've touched on so many points that people are curious about knowing, and the reality is we do spend a lot of time telling customers about the value of solar and all the benefits.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's actually quite rewarding to hear your story, because though, there's so many relatable things that you talk about in terms of energy saving and environmental benefits and things. And quite frankly, solar's not too complicated, right?
No,
and so from a customer's perspective, if the company gets it right and does a good job and does it well, the outcome is so simple and you get these great solutions.
Sorry if I jump in, but for me it's quite remarkable even to think of that. My experience, before deciding to do it and now, right? Before I had so many questions, so many doubts. So should I do, should I not? It was also because of the shade of the tree, I have to admit. That was a bit concern for me. But then it turned out fantastically. But then after you do it, you say, oh my God, everyone should do it, you know? It's somehow, it's so, not just for the environment, there is no even point to discuss. Of course, you should do it for the environment. But for your pockets, there is no way that you don't save money, you know? Because if you do this and you make an investment, and let's say in 3 years, 4 years, whatever you want to think of, you pay it back, and then it becomes everything's free. It's like not doing. It's
a no-brainer.
No, really. But then
we call it a no-brainer.
But the point is, as a customer, you know, people tell you, but maybe you don't believe it, you know. So if you tell me, or you say, but then when you experience, you say, now I tell all my friends. I always talk about this company, of course. I say, just do it. There is no reason not to do it. Even long term, short term, you just save money, and it makes a lot of sense.
And I think to your point, I'd be interested, Daniel, if you remember any numbers off the top of your head about you talked about, why doesn't everyone do it? Isn't the industry growing? I don't know a lot of houses have solar now. Do you remember what the figures are? I think we saw a slide earlier.
I've been in the industry since 2011, and every year that's been a constant growth. In Australia, Australia's been leading, worldwide, following Germany, Japan, and we're doing amazing. We're doing amazingly. The market is growing, and the key, to be honest with you, Duncan, going forward, is not just generating renewables, is storing the energy that we generate to be able to use it when we actually most need it and any time that we need it. Okay, so as managers, we are really strong advocates of batteries and energy storage for households, and really trying to tailor solutions based on the fully integrated energy independence to try to give consumers, And if we think about energy storage in Australia, we are still not early adopters, but very early stage of the curve, and we really hope to see in the next year some rebates coming for energy storage at the federal level. There is a lot of talk about SDCs, federal government incentives going for energy storage, and if that happens, that's going to be the really amazing for the industry, not just for us that are in the industry, but for everyone worldwide. Well, in Australia mainly, because once again, it's key that we achieve sustainability, not just for us, but for the future of our kids and the future generations. So absolutely, that's
exciting times.
Exciting times, yes.
Yes. And I think. Well, that's we've covered some good ground tonight. We've heard great stories from Francesco. We've heard some great stories from you about the value of using module level power electronics, or MLPE, as we heard tonight. So I think on that note, we're sort of getting to the half an hour mark. So I think we'll try to probably round up and say thanks for joining. If you've got any further questions for myself, for Daniel, or Francesco, great opportunities to ask questions through the webinar platform. After the webinar finishes, you'll get a follow-up email, so you can always reply back if you've got would like to find out a bit more information. Don't forget to jump on the Smart Energy Answers website, of course, because that's a good resource, and I was looking there myself, and there's a heap of information there as well about all the good stuff that you can do with solar and storage and more. So I think on that note, I'd say thank you very much for having me and for sharing your stories. I think it's been great to be here and have the experience this evening. So thanks for joining, and look forward to catching you all again on a webinar near you very soon.